What I'm about to say will shock you. Can you believe that 80% of employees don't understand what their leaders are telling them about the organization culture? And as if that wasn't bad enough, of those who do understand it, 69% of them don't believe it. In fact, they even go as far as to say that they find their leaders hypocritical. Why? Because they feel that they're purporting to espouse certain values, and yet when they go back to their workplace, they don't see those values in their day-to-day activities. This is a really big problem, especially given that culture is really what defines companies in the very noisy market we have today. And furthermore, that companies spend over $2,000 per employee per year trying to create a good culture. So at the end of all of that, you still have an organization that doesn't understand. And you know what? The big white elephant in the room is the gap. In a recent article by Harvard Business Review called "The Wrong Ways to Strengthen Organization Culture," they reference a research conducted by Brian Curry, the Gartner Managing VP for HR Research, and that's where all of this data came from. And he actually went so far as to say that there is a say-do gap in organizations where leaders are seen to be saying one thing but doing something else. What's the result? Confusion, inconsistency, not delivering on your customer experience. So, what can we do about this? Well, I'm glad to say that it's actually been our passion at Bensouda Consulting and my personal passion over the last 7 years to design, refine, test, and develop a framework that can bridge this gap. A methodology to bring together the values and translate them into actual working practice. Not just in general terms, but for every different functional area. Because one of the big issues is that an organization doesn't only have one type of work. An organization has people doing sales, people doing marketing, people doing audit, people doing legal work. And the way the values translate into their work differs. So if you get all of them together and say, can you agree on how these values translate into your work? They would look left and right and say, no, because their work is different, right? So what you need to do is you need to have a framework that can translate by function. So we've come up with something called Think, Talk, Behave. Think, Talk, Behave is a framework and methodology that is meant to be beautifully simple and yet powerful at taking your intangible values and breaking them down into how you, in your functional area, should think, which means how your policies should be written, how you make decisions, how you govern what you do, how you talk, which would be reflected in your language that you speak with your colleagues in meetings and also with your customers, whether they're internal or external. And thirdly, how you behave. And that is in two ways, both personal behavior as individuals and your processes and how your processes work. So this three-step process, think, talk, behave, really serves to take all that confusion away and start to bring clarity and harmony into the organization so that, you know, your field workforce, who are the people delivering on your brand promise, actually understand what they're supposed to do for a change. So if this sounds interesting to you and you think that your organization could use some help with translating your values into working practice, then I invite you to follow a series of videos and articles that we're going to be publishing that will be filled with useful tips that you can start to apply to see some progress and results. And we'll share some stories with you as well about how it's worked with some other organizations so you can avoid some of those mistakes. Bensouda Consulting.